Oh, that's just light.
Right.
It's just straight up light.
The undiluted concentration of the freaking sun. So,
And I mean, with your complexion, we know you need it. So,
right. Yeah. I could fix the complexion thing, but not also see if we wanted to like change the blinds right now. Of
who
course, you
needs to
wouldn't be
see?
able to see either. You know how the moon reflects light? That's what's going to happen, you know? So,
You've read these chapters. You don't need to see them anymore. You've memorized them, have you not?
I wouldn't go that far, but
I wouldn't
I
either.
could
But
I could fill an hour with a facsimile of what the next 10 chapters look like. So,
We can just continue arguing about everything.
yes,
are we not going to do that anyway?
probably. So,
Like
I
about
think
how White
Andreas
Knight's a
these
terrible book.
episodes is
Yeah, Andreas, do the thing. Welcome to the Dresden Files podcast. Oh wait, no, I have to say it in a weird accent. Hold on. Welcome to the Dresden Files podcast.
did you do like Russia meets India? What's going on here? So, can you ask me where the nuclear vessels are? So, no.
Wesselton.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So last time we finished up arguing about how we were going to handle Camp Kaboom. So go watch that episode because I'm not going to rehash those arguments because I don't remember and I might
give me a few minutes because I didn't watch it.
Yeah, that would be embarrassing.
Flashbacks are touchy. Don't make them boring, especially when you're in the middle of action and then you go to like the beginning of something else and it's not action for at least a minute or two. Don't make it boring.
And proof that you remember the emotional content of the message more than the message itself. I remember the director accusing us of being hacks, so that I remember.
Listen, this is the easiest of all the flashbacks. You can make an entire episode out of this one.
I think that was the argument, but then the director was like, what if we just peppered it out through the whole season? And I
would think you would hate that. That would be the opposite of what you've been advocating for this whole time with flashbacks. Now we're just going to pepper them in throughout.
Well, if it's interesting, the problem is like it's about the execution of like, is it good and is it interesting and is it fun to watch? And there are various times when you like suddenly go into a flashback. It's like, I don't give a shit what's happening there. He was just being attacked by ghouls right then, falling into like Michigan. That's interesting, and you have to sell me again on what's going on with the whole flashback thing. So just like. Do it.
And my argument was like how we split the content. Like, do we do he falls into the ice and fades to black, or is that too dramatic? Join us next week, whatever. And so like one of the ideas that had come to mind was like, okay, so he falls in the ice, but then immediately you snap to him bitching to Ramirez about how bright the sun is. Ironic. But it's just like, why did you not bring sunglasses? And then Ramirez like throws his shades on, and then you've got some kind of musical outro, right? And so it's like, something's coming, Dresden's not dead, but you do have a flashback and you do that for an episode, and then you've got some cleanup at the end, right? When he gets out of the ice and you're like, oh yeah, shit, he wasn't just out in Arizona this entire time, so, but anyway, there are options. Because we have unlimited time and budget, obviously we're going to film them all.
Right.
And then we'll run them past the test audiences, so. But
the test audiences, you mean the four of us?
You're like our moms. That's what I think, right? Is like, we'll just have our family together because they have no idea. Like my mom has no idea about Dresden Files. So that would totally work.
Dresden Files.
That would work.
Yeah. All right, so chapter 22, Magical blasts Dresden and knocks him across the ice, and then he flashes back to Camp Kaboom. We know this. Get a little bit of description for Ramirez because now we're in a different time and place. So Ramirez is dressed in surplus military BDU pants, a loose white cotton shirt, a khaki bush hat folded up on one side, wraparound sunglasses, and his usual cocky grin. Shook his head. For God's sake, Harry, why didn't you bring sunglasses? I don't like glasses. Things on my eyes, they bug me. Do they bug you as much as going blind? So,
yes.
While he's out there, they're literally, apparently, still getting mail. So he's got a letter from Yoshimo about Shiro and his family line. So nice little nugget of like, hey, I'm doing research about the sword and maybe what to do about it. approaching this is a very nerdy wizard way of doing it, right? So like, how does the sword normally get handed off, right? And then they're in the middle of a conversation which gets cut off by rifle fire. So let's see. So they're trying to get to the recruits. It's like right during breakfast, more or less. They're trying to coordinate who's attacking and what's going on and everything. But
Question.
Go ahead.
There was the conversation. This is the info dump about the warden's swords, right? Of why Lucio isn't giving a sword to Harry. And
Sure.
like, are you keeping that in your flashback? Are you putting that somewhere else?
Sure.
This is the beginning of Lucio flirting with him, right? Or something, because being young, because something.
You could take it that way, right? She's oversharing, certainly. And so that gives them an amount of intimacy, right? And everything. But I don't know if it would qualify as flirting just yet, but.
Agreed. It depends on how you want to play it, or just leave it questionable or something.
Sure.
Just the fact that they have a nice rapport, but that info dump and conversation does kind of interrupt the flow of action. And so are you taking that out and putting it elsewhere? Or
yeah, I mean, I'm on record about being a purist, right? So it's like, if we're making changes, well, suck it. So what's the point in adapting the book series if you're going to just chop it up and do whatever the fuck you want with it?
You're doing the Peter Jackson thing, though. You're making it better.
Well, if that's the case, right? But that's arguable, right? Like, let's cut out a chunk of the Ents, which is kind of critical to the entire arc of the story. Let's cut out Tom Bombadil, who has no business being there, and that's fine. But he tells you about how dangerous the ring is, So it's like he's got information to offer, right? The Lucio conversation obviously didn't make my notes. It's not so critical, that it's like, okay, let's have this entire aside, and like, she doesn't have her body and just all of this stuff, right? But you're right, it does muck with the flow a little bit, but I think that's kind of the point of the flashback as well, right? It's kind of a weird thing, because it's like, if you think about it from a meta perspective, you're breaking the action to put in different action and to fill in kind of the gaps of Harry doing it. And I think the world example, or the world reason why this happens, is like, Harry doesn't give a shit. Like, he is trying everything he can do to bury and run from Camp Kaboom, but it is a part of him, and we need to know it. And so the only way that this is getting through is because Harry is unconscious, right? And as soon as he goes unconscious, his guard drops, and he has to live through this, and he has to process it,
Right. So. And also the fact that this is a moment where he leans on Lash far more heavily. Yes. And she's still trying to get in like needles into him. And so that's why I'm not against the idea of peppering it through a season until this moment, because Lash is trying to like, hey, remember this, remember when you needed me, remember when I helped you.
Sure.
And the whole PTSD unconscious, I don't want to think about thing, but constantly having to push the thought to the side. And I think that with some like changes a little bit to dialogue, because I don't remember the exact dialogue, and with the flow, like, you can probably condense the conversation with Lucio and just make it of like, these kids are going to be wardens, and we need to get them really good because we can't give them swords. Oh, why can't you give them swords? Because the one person who made them is now incapable.
I mean, the sword is a very useful tool, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't know if it's that much of a crutch for the wardens, right? I mean, you barely see Ramirez use it. The one that you see employ it the most is Morgan, right? For a variety of things. Like, you see him use it against Dresden a bunch of times, like Deadbeat, obviously, and all of that stuff. So we get to see how powerful they become, right? And Ramirez employs it, but it doesn't ever really seem like he uses it in the way that Morgan does, right? It is a very cool, fancy sword. But Ramirez is also like, he's modern. So it's like, oh, well, I've also got my Glock and my hand grenades, right? So.
Yeah, I think the magical portion of the swords was the fact that they could, it's like a counter spell tool,
they break
specifically for magical fighting. Yeah. And the importance that Dresden had put on it is that it became a symbol of office more
Sure.
so than the gray cloak.
Which is interesting because the gray cloak isn't running around with a silver sword. He's running around with
Yeah.
a gray cloak. So
It's actually a really important point.
yeah. Maybe it's just Dresden feels like it's like that because
Well, because he doesn't have one. He has
subconsciously
one
Because
in
of
doesn't
Organa.
care.
particular.
Yeah, exactly. Because of all the wardens, he's the only one that doesn't have a sword, at least that we see, because his perspective and everything. But obviously, any of these kids wouldn't have the sword. Anybody who got drafted, after the Battle of Sicily, isn't going to have a sword. So yeah. No, I mean the conversation happens. I'm not fussed about it. I don't think chopping it up and moving it would be the play.
Well,
But
the
I
other
understand the
option is a
concern about
slight
pacing.
addition to it, where we start dropping some hints about her mind whamming thing. Like maybe she's doing something with an inkwell, signing some requisition forms or something. Just
Sure.
a little detail. But
Yeah.
You just see a little bit of a stain on a finger.
Right. Where is this? This isn't, right? They don't start dating until next book. Is that
After Small Favor.
mhm.
At the end of Small
So,
Favor, they went
at-
to
they go to
sushi.
dinner?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
okay.
after all the stuff
was
with the
part-
archive and all that.
Yeah. One of my copies, whatever it is missing like that chapter, and so like I didn't read that the first time or two through, I think, so I kind of got reintroduced to it. I was like, wait a minute. So I'm being fuzzy about it, but I was like, we could add it there, right, without changing too much, but that's an entire freaking season later, so
Yeah.
so I mean, if we were that worried about
No,
the pacing, it made sense, but
I do think it belongs here to explain what the baby wardens are going into,
right.
what kind of tools they're going to have, how much things are stacked up against them, why they're not going to have this specific tool that seems to be pretty powerful. It's just the skill of writing it in the way of not ruining someone's enjoyment and being condensed to get back to the action and the emotional impact of things that we care about.
Yeah, which, the conversation's about to be interrupted by gunfire anyway, so
Pew pew.
okay, so I'm gonna move us on. Basically, so they're under attack, right? They start getting shot at, their conversations in life get interrupted and everything like that, and they're trying to coordinate where the attacker is and everything. So as he spoke, one of the wardens rolled around the end of the broken wall, pointed his staff up slope, and spat out a vicious sounding word. There was a low hum, a sudden flash, and a blue-white bolt of lightning snarled up the side of the mountain in the general direction of the shots. It struck a boulder with a roar and shattered it to gravel, the sight bizarre through the haze that Lucio had conjured, because she's doing the, hypnotic pattern, for you D&D nerds. So, watch it, Ramirez screamed. They took two of our kids. The other warden shot him a horrified look and then dove for cover as more gunfire spat down the mountain. He let out a short, clenched tooth scream and grabbed his leg and one of the kids not far from gasped, clutching at her cheek. So people do not know how to take cover, apparently. So
No, it is the desert.
I mean, they're in a boom town, though, like literally. So
Right, it went boom.
yes, right. Yeah. Yeah, so they're trying to figure out what to do, everything like that. And, Lucio's holding the spell, which keeps her out of the fight. So, like, other than obviously doing the defensive stuff, which if people knew how to take cover, she wouldn't need to do the haze spell. So she tells Dresden that he's got to go get the sniper. So I nodded to her, looked up the mountainside, and then shook my head and drew up my sight. Because obviously... at once, my vision cut through Lucio's bewildering haze as though it had never existed. I could see the mountainside in perfect detail, even as it was, in turn, partially veiled by the vision my sight granted me, which showed me all of the living magic in the world around us. The traces of magic that had lingered before, including dozens of imprints made in the past few days, and hundreds of ghostly glimpses of particularly strong emotional images that had sunk into the area during its heyday. And like, that's a thing that I'm like, I want to include this you know, but it's a lot of work, right? Obviously, because it's like you could just imagine the shadowy superimposition of like the kids learning fire magic and shit like that, and you know, seeing them in the background. And you know, one of these, you know, I could see where the girl who is now laying shuddering with a bullet in her had tried to call up fire for the first time, literally. Near a scorch mark up slope, I could see where a grizzled man desperately addicted to opium and desperately broke had shot himself more than a century ago, and where that night his shades still lingered, leaving fresh imprints behind. Like, what a neat thing, you know, to just be like,
Mm.
oh yeah, that's Dresden using the site, because all of a sudden the haze goes away and you see all this ghostly shit running around and, you know, everything like that. So and I could see the little coiling cloud of darkness that formed the inhuman energy of the attacking ghoul running hot in the emotions of battle. So be like, that guy, we're going to go fuck that guy up right now. So Dresden's running uphill, which, you know, he's better at because he's been practicing, but it's still an effort to run uphill. Most people don't practice to run uphill. They just practice the running part. But he gets kind of a flank on the ghoul and everything like that, but he left all his tools at home, so he's really bad at magic right now, you know. So fire bellowed. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, you know, he's got a gun.
Sure, he should, but you know, yeah. Fire bellowed forth from my right hand, not in the narrow beam, a jet tightly focused energy, but in a roaring flood, spilling out from my fingertips like water from a garden sprayer. A lot of it, way more than I had intended. The fire got the ghoul all right, and the ground for 20 feet around him in every direction. So he cast fireball, like a really close fireball, you know.
It's more like
more on the
flamethrower.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, more description. I pull all of this stuff out, but the ghoul dies badly, as ghouls do, you know. So Dresden says that, I think, you know, before we get into this, but it's like the ghoul did what, you know, the ghoul died the way that ghouls do everything. Disgusting. So, you know. Yeah, so Ramirez catches up to him a little bit later, and Dresden asks him, how are you at following tracks? Thought they taught that Boy Scout stuff to all you Anglos. I grew up in LA, so it's like, yeah.
I don't do anything out in the country. I'm a city boy.
Yeah. And it was like, to be fair, Dresden mostly operates out of Chicago, so, you know, not that much different from LA, but he did grow up on a farm, you know, so
There you go, because he's a farm boy.
Is it ever stated
superpower.
where Demorne and where he lives with Demorne?
Iowa, I think.
Okay. I can't remember if it's ever said.
Yeah.
Somewhere Midwest.
Yeah. Yep. So let's see. Okay. Well, I'm going to read this because I love it. But yeah, I blew out of breath thinking fast. Lucio's busy. She'll call up help for the wounded. That leaves you and me to go get the twins. Fucking right, we will. How? You got prisoners? The two I didn't blast? Yeah, we'll ask them. Think they'll rat out their buddy? If they think it'll save their lives, I asked. In a heartbeat, maybe less. Weasels, Ramirez muttered. They are what they are, man. There's no use in hating them for it. Just be glad we can use it to our advantage. Let's go. You know, and then we'll hate them for it in about 5 minutes. So
it's called irony.
Yeah. Well, I think it's there to like demonstrate how much this affects Dresden and what a turn it is for him and everything. But so this is where Dresden uses Last Shield to interrogate the ghouls and everything like that. She, like, the image from Dresden's side is like she pushes in real close behind him, you know, and everything like that, which I think it is going to be a fun shot and everything, and just be like, you know, just speak and I'll translate between brain and mouth, you know, that sort of thing. So
something I enjoy about Lash, as thinking of this TV show, is that the way that Dresden perceives her is very much like the Dresden TV show did with Bob.
Sure. Shut up. But as much as I like the Bob actor overall, like Last Shield's still hotter. So just saying.
Oh, sure, but I mean, same basic concept.
but shut up. Different entity, different reasons for doing what they're doing, and shut up. So, yeah. So you get surprised and traded looks from Bill and Ramirez, which I would love to just have them in the shot in the background, as Dresden's doing the interrogation and everything. So they find out where the cave is and everything. Dresden has to squeeze through a partially collapsed tunnel in order to get back in there. And then, of course, there's less light. So he uses his hellfire imbued staff. They do pop back to their tents to grab their implements. So he uses his hellfire imbued staff to light it, which is also kind of interesting because he almost always uses his amulet, right? So, but then
probably a hint of the Lash influence.
Right. Exactly. Right. This is all subtext, right? It's all like, oh, things are happening and Dresden's changing. And this is why his friends are worried about him because clues, they're not private investigators, but they do have eyes and ears, so.
He can't handle Latin, but all of a sudden he can speak Ghoul, which is a very good point of Ramirez.
Yes.
And on that point, I think, what does Ghoul sound like? Ancient Mesopotamia or ancient Arabic.
I thought it was Etruscan, wasn't it? So
that's White Knight. That's the White Court.
Okay. Deep.
I thought they did name it though, like Sumerian or something like that. So
yeah,
that would
be something like that.
The ghouls are old in that region.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, they do name it. So we get to hire a specialist, who can help us say like 20 words.
From Game of Thrones.
So, okay, sure.
What are you talking about? We got ChatGPT. We'll be fine.
True.
Oh my god!
Actually, we're talking Sumerians. There's an old expert in Britain. He looks like an evil, crazy wizard. He's lovely. I'll find his name.
Okay.
You just blew up my brain because now I'm thinking about all the people that are trying to figure out rituals by using ChatGPT. And like how busy the White Council would be, and they're like, "What the fuck is artificial intelligence?" And god damn it, why are so many people doing these rituals and blowing themselves up?
Well, but now we're in the early stages where it keeps giving them the wrong thing each time. So like the wrong component, the wrong ritual phrase. But
But the wardens are still going to shut it down if they find out.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
They were like, "Heaven forbid you got it right."
Right now they're lucky, but in a few years.
Oh man, thanks for that. So I can't wait for that to show up in like book 17.
Imagine what Ivy has to do.
Yeah, right. She's like
Jim's furiously taking notes.
It's just a remix of like all the other bullshit, So anyway, okay. So what are we doing here? Is that for later?
It's the Sumerian expert that I've seen. He looks like a wizard.
Fantastic.
And it's brilliant. Dr. Irving Finkel.
I was going to say, he certainly doesn't have a name like a wizard.
Sure he does.
British.
Ask him what his other two names are. So
he won't tell you.
Yeah.
He'll just get suspicious.
If he was a real wizard, he wouldn't. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. He's not a wizard. He's an Ace Ventura comedy skit.
Alrighty. So we catch up to the Trailman twins, and they are dead. Well, Dresden does. So my vision went red with rage, or maybe that was the Hellfire. I called upon still more of the dark energy in mid-leap, staff gripped in both hands, and rammed the tip into the small of the ghoul's back and snarled, "Fuego." The blow, with all of my weight and power and speed behind it, probably broke a couple of the ghoul's vertebrae all by itself. The fire spell rushing out of this at the same time, filling the tunnel with thunder and light. Tremendous heat blossomed before me, rushed into the ghoul, and tore him in half at the waist. So, yeah, kind of brutal. I didn't remember him coming out in pieces. So, obviously, there's a lot of blubbering and other stuff, but Harry reaches down to the ghoul, caught him by the remains of his robes, and hauled him up to my eye level, ignoring the little runnels of flame that occasionally licked up from the inferno beneath the ghoul's skin. I stared into his face, then forced it to look at the bodies. Then I turned it back to me, and my voice came out in a snarl so inhuman that I barely understood it myself. Never, I told it, never again. And then I threw it down the shaft. So I skip a lot of this description actually because it is fucking brutal, but you should be uncomfortable watching this when we do it, because he like sets it on fire with its own, fatty tissues, and when it goes down the shaft, it flames up because, rushing wind feeding a fire, and then there's the thunk at the end and everything like that. So
this episode will air during Halloween. That's fine.
Sure. Yeah, we'll figure that out. So even though it's like June-ish, isn't it? It's like summer months. So, but
yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean our release schedule has to. I'm just saying.
I understand.
We release it on the episode on Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ramirez
have some form of physical or some form of identifiable thing that Dresden is being influenced by Lash a little bit differently. Like the Hellfire is one thing, but like if he's like a glimmer of like she's pushing on his emotions, kind of like when he's going to do the baby son thing to scare Molly, and like, is it just going to be subtext or is it going to be visual?
We'll come up with a little tinkle, tinkling bells when no. I mean, I think it's just going to be obvious enough. Like for that sort of stuff, like show it the way that Ramirez and Wild Bill and everybody sees it, right? Like, and you pick it out and just be like, Murphy is like, dude, because like literally in a couple of chapters when he does the little ball of sunshine with Molly, and she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Get a grip, like, I think that's fine, and honestly, do we know that's Lashiel doing it, or is that Harry's justification for why it's happening?
Does she not admit to it later?
I mean, if she does, then we'll know, but
okay.
But I mean, like, it's the commonly accepted answer, and I'm fine with that and everything, right? But like at the same time, right? Like it's kind of Dresden saying, yeah, well, I'm kind of in bed with a demon, so that's to be expected.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like this also could be just like Harry is staring into the abyss is staring into him, and you can't hunt monsters without some of that rubbing off on you, but we'll see when he finally gets free of the coin, if he goes back to being able to do like, sunshine napkins and, stuff like that. So he gets to be happy again. Yeah, exactly. Right. That was like, it's kind of irrelevant because it's like, tell me that if, well, I mean, she did, right? He does get free of her. Like she's evaporated, but now he's got the influence of winter. And so there's another excuse, so it's just like,
well, there was briefly like a couple of books where he did not have Lashiel, and he did not know that he had Bonnie, and he did not yet have the winter, and because that happened in Changes.
Yeah. Was he much more mentally stable for those books?
I was going to say it's one book. Let's be clear.
Small Favor and Turncoat, and then into Changes is when he gets winter, and so there's 2 books.
Right, 2.5.
That's right. Technically, yes, it's Small Favor too, but
yeah. Potentially.
Yeah. I guess we can read it with more purpose this time. So
yes, because this is a reread dressed up.
Well, and in Turncoat, he'll have Demon Reach's influence. So
Do you want me to invite you to this circle here? Quit poking at everything.
This is not a circle. This is a square.
You're a square. All right.
Thank you.
Before somebody takes what I'm saying seriously, let's move on. So Ramirez confronts Harry, but doesn't really stop him. He just kind of challenges and what's going on and everything like that. I think he had a pretty good line about it, but I didn't pull that out anyway. So,
but if he did, no one will know it.
Yeah, it's gone forever. So at the camp, I caught one brief glimpse of Lucio as she helped carry a wounded trainee on a stretcher. She stepped into a glowing line of light in the air and opened way to the Never Never and vanished. Reinforcements had arrived. There were wardens with medical kits, stretchers, the works, trying to stabilize the wounded and get them better help. The trainees looked shocked, numb, staring around them, and the 2 silent shapes lying close together over to one side, covered from their heads to their knees by an unzipped bag.
Obviously, we will have real ghouls and real corpses during this part.
Hmm.
To save on money.
Authenticity.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as practical effects, I want to actually cut somebody in half, light them on fire, and throw them down a shaft. So, obviously.
And it may take a few takes. So
Right, jeez.
But that's a price I'm willing to pay.
it's a sacrifice. I am willing.
Thank
to
you.
make.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Okay, so now Dresden's big mad, and he goes back into the smithy and everything. So Snarls Rosare put all of my rage and will into a lashing column of force directed at the captured ghouls. The spell blew the remaining wall of the smithy and the two ghouls 50 feet through the air and onto a relatively flat area of the street. I walked after them. I didn't hurry. In fact, I picked up a jug of orange juice off of the breakfast tables and drank some of it as I went. The mountainside was completely silent. What do you got, Andreas?
It's like this is just really like it just gets really casually cruel here.
Right. That's how you know it's evil. So
Nah, that's fine.
yeah. Once I reached them, another blast opened up a 6-foot crater in the sandy earth. I kicked the mostly human ghoul into it, and with several more such blasts collapsed the crater in on him, burying him to the neck. Then I called fire and melted the sand around the ghoul's exposed head into a sheet of glass. It screamed and screamed, which did not matter to me in the least. The sheer heat of the molten sand burned away its features, its eyes and lips and tongue, even as the trauma forced the ghoul into its true form. I upended the jug of juice. Some of it splashed on the ghoul's head. Some of it sizzled on the narrow band of glass around it. I walked calmly, pouring orange juice on the ground in a steady line until 10 feet later, I reached the enormous nest of fire ants that one of the trainees had stumbled into on our first day at Camp Kaboom. So yeah, that's kind of rough. I'm not going to kill you, I told the ghoul in a very quiet voice. You get to carry word to your kind. I thrust the end of my staff against his chest and stared down. Wisps of sulfurous smoke trickled down the length of the wooden shaft and over the maimed ghoul. Tell them this. I leaned closer. Never again. Tell them that. Never again, or hell itself will not hide you from me. The ghoul groveled. Great one. Great one. Yeah.
That didn't sound very Sumerian.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. So the ghoul tries to crawl off. Dresden has a thing about crippling things and then making them like crawl off to go get help and stuff like that. So again, like he didn't have a coin then, right? So when he did that to Cassius, so just saying. Yeah.
That is true. He had a
But
quarter.
it was near a coin, so therefore
Yeah. Right. Evil quarters. That's
it was
why
doing,
I
it
don't
was doing the one ring thing around them,
Yeah. Yeah. So Ramirez comes up. Dios, he whispered, what happened to not hating them? Things change, right? Because we had that line, literally 5 minutes ago. So, yeah. Ramirez didn't move. His voice was so low I could barely hear it. How many lessons will it take the kids to learn this one, do you think? The rage came screaming up again. Battle is one thing, Ramirez said. This is something else. Look at them. I suddenly felt the weight of dozens and dozens of eyes upon me. I turned to the trainees, all pale, shocked and silent, staring at me. They looked terrified. I fought the frustration and anger back down. Ramirez was right. Of course he was. Damn it. I drew my gun and executed the ghoul. Dios, never seen you like this. I started feeling the minor burns. The sun began turning Camp Kaboom into a giant cookie sheet and would sear away anything soft. Like what? Cold, he said finally. That was the only way to serve it up, I said. Cold. And then he says never again as a ghoul swims by him because he's cold in the lake, when he wakes up. So yeah, Harry grabs onto a ghoul and tries to wrestle it like he's going to wrestle a shark under the water. So obviously this is the smartest thing he's ever done. So Elaine does eventually go in after him, I think, or Thomas does.
Thomas does.
Yeah. They get him free. Elaine and the women help.
Elaine getting him out the water. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't need.
Are you saying girls can't do it?
I'm saying Thomas is very strong and Elaine is probably not.
Wow, sexist.
Very Happy Gilmore. Thomas is very strong and Elaine is not so strong. And, all right. I got you. Thomas said to me as he started walking, "It's cool, Harry," he murmured. "They're safe. We got everyone clear. I got you. My brother's word was good enough for me. I closed my eyes and stopped trying to keep track of things." So then he
We
wakes
could put
up.
the flashback here if that makes you feel better. Since he passes out again.
Wouldn't
He
make
worked
any
through all the
sense, though,
trauma
would
at this
it?
point. So
Yeah, right. Like,
Not the point. I'm just saying.
yeah, sure. Every time Dresden goes to sleep, the horrors come. So
You just have the same
I mean, that's
flashback
true.
over and over.
right.
You just change one thing in the background.
Yeah. So Harry wakes up in the dark, alone, in a motel room with Elaine touching him, sort of. She's using Reiki. So she catches him up on what happened. Thomas is hungry. And then so they've been doing this for a few hours and everything like this, and she more or less like rejuvenates Harry, right? His migraine goes away, he feels mostly rested, most of his aches and pains are gone, and it's like, wow, magic. Oh wait, yeah, kind of. So
and then
Well,
never
she's a wizard.
again. This ability never shows up
with the
again.
Reiki, it's not like, so it's one of those downtime things, right? If it takes 6 to 8 hours and another powerful wizard to like do this, like how much time has Harry had to just like lay down and get stroked by a woman? I mean, Reiki, laying on of hands.
I mean,
I
he's
mean-
got
Totally not.
he's got a long time in cold days, but it's not like Sarissa's going to do it.
Yeah. Well,
Even though she's an
Mab was laying on of hands, but they were these hands.
Oh,
so-
yeah. She was throwing hands. She wasn't laying on
yeah,
hands.
exactly.
Hands and fire axes.
Oh man.
Dresden's shaped on Dresden's fake shape on the elevator. That's
Sure.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Skin game.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
more
Mab style.
healing
Yeah.
help from Mab. So
She believes in tough love.
Flashy entrances.
I guess it is a perspective thing that Harry just has to limp and suffer, and then Winter Mantle and all of that stuff. And we don't get to see magical healing except for things like this once in a while. But like maybe Injun Joe has a whole bunch of them.
sure.
Right? Like
Yeah.
he should, right? There is healing wizards out there. What do they do?
Right.
And
Right.
why doesn't Dresden have one on staff?
Because he can't afford one.
Yet?
Yeah. I mean, right. Maybe this comes with the castle, when he starts to like actually pull people to him instead of just his gang of Scoobies that are mostly his like will they won't they girlfriend and his brother and his ex-girlfriend who shows up every like 5 books. So
I was going to say, that castle's got to be haunted. There's got to be a ghost butler or something running around there. He just hasn't found it yet.
Bob.
No, but no.
right.
Aside from
I was like
Bob.
illusory butler maybe, but like I don't know, can a ghost still haunt the place if it's been dismantled brick by brick and moved over the
Yeah.
ocean?
How much do you think it painted? That ghost was probably like, ow, 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 ow. This is getting carted around.
Right.
Yeah, it's a question. Is the ghost tied to the castle and the stones, or is it tied to the land it was on? Or did they also cut up the land and bring it with like Dracula?
Right.
I was going to say, he's not a vampire.
Right. And did Guard not
Yeah.
like cleanse the place, before they moved it? And
Hey,
He wanted the
ghosts are
ghost
useful.
butler.
We saw in Ghost Story, they're great sentries.
Mhm.
anyway, so Thomas is outside on guard and not like that. And Harry whistles and knows that Thomas is going to come. And Harry also knows that there's a ward on the door. So are we being inappropriate again?
Of course.
Okay.
Well, to be fair, I was thinking
Could
first like Lassie, but then when the director also left, I was like, yes, inappropriate. I don't know what that was. I didn't do it.
It might have been me actually. I was trying to like scroll down and then things changed instead. So
Oh yeah,
if
don't
you
do
saw
that.
You're welcome. So, um, Harry, Elaine said mildly alarmed. The ward. I held up a forefinger in a 1 second kind of gesture and then folded my arms, stared at the door, and waited. The doorknob twitched. There was a heavy thud, a gasp of surprise, and a loud clatter of empty trash cans. I opened up the door and found my brother flat on his back in the parking lot amidst a moderate amount of spilled garbage. He stared up at the sky for a moment, let out a long, suffering sigh, and then sat up, scowling at me. So Harry finally gets to confront him about, like, that would have been some nice information to know, wouldn't it, if you weren't being an idiot? It's like, so.
And yet
But
Thomas
there's
wasn't
your one
being
to
an
talk.
idiot.
right.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Thomas also knows by doing this, he is going to get his ass kicked and he's going to deserve it. And, so he's more or less takes this in stride. So, but he does get Dresden with some garbage when he offers his hand up, help him up and everything like that. So yeah. And then they go to check on, the Ordo and everything like that and find Anna alone hung in the shower. So, so that's how that's going.
It's fine.
But,
So that means that Scabius was working on Anna while Thomas is 100 feet away and he noticed nothing.
yeah, I get confused about this and whatnot. Like, theoretically, he was on guard and like the Ordo ran off, and I don't know. Yeah, because like we get some of those details in the next like 2 chapters or whatever, I think. But it's like they were alone together for some reason, and like Helen Beckett had to go to work, and then the rest of the Ordo went back to Abby's place, and Anna was driving Helen around town supposedly, but they're getting all of this information from the Scabius, from Priscilla. So it's just like like maybe it doesn't make sense because the Scabius is lying and it doesn't make sense, so or whatever. But yeah, I don't really like, I think it is like they worry that Beckett leaves and so now they're compromised, so they all decide to leave and go back to Abby's place. I don't know, like, so
I get, to me now it's if they all went back to Abby's place but they were at the same motel, like called where Anna died at a motel is the same motel that Elaine and Harry and Thomas are at.
No, that's what I was going to say. So I think where we're missing it is there's 2 groups of women now. So the women Thomas is watching over are the ones from the Water Beetle and Olivia, right? He's watching over those ones, and the Ordo was left at Elaine's hotel room elsewhere.
Yes.
So now there are 2 new motel rooms, and Elaine and Harry had one where they were doing the Reiki thing because they needed privacy, obviously, and then Olivia and her crew are in another one, like 50 feet away or whatever. I think that's one of the details, but yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. But then because Mouse was with the Ordo, because he was supposed to be on guard, now Harry is big worried about Mouse again, but he's got a shield bracelet charm on Mouse's collar just in case Mouse does disappear. He can at least track the collar. So I think that's a neat little detail. But let's see. Yeah, I didn't do such a good job tracking the transition, everything. I think they're still in the motel room, but this is like Elaine having a breakdown because somebody, one of her wards is dead now and everything. But I told her I would protect her. Sometimes you try, I said quietly. Sometimes that's all you do. Try. That's how the game works. Game, she said. The single word was caustic enough to melt holes in the floor. Has it ever happened to you? Someone who came to you for help was killed? A couple of times. First time was Kim Delaney, a girl I trained to keep her talent under control, maybe a little stronger than the women in the Ordo, but not by much. She got involved in bad business over her head. I thought I would warn her off, that she would listen to me. I should have known better. Just trying to see if I want to continue with this, but Yeah. So something ate her. I go to her grave sometimes. Why? To bring flowers and sweep off the leaves, to remind me of the stakes I play for, to remind me that nobody wins them all. And after, what did you do to the thing that killed her? I killed it. She nodded again. When we catch up to the Skavis, I want it. I put on a hand on her shoulder and said very gently, it won't make you feel any better. That's not why I want to do it. It was my job. I've got to finish my job. I owe her that much. I mean, and she does. She doesn't catch up with the Skavis so much as the other thing, but but she
catches
gets
up with her.
Does he think about here that how it's not? I killed it, but that's not really the nuance of the situation. The werewolf.
He does mention that he killed it, but it's not going to make her feel better. Like what
Yeah,
what
but
other
does he
nuances?
internally think that it's more nuanced than that? I can't remember that.
No, I don't believe he makes any sort of distinction or fuss over the fact that it was McFinn and wasn't in control. And this, like, he's not going through the whole spiel right now.
Okay. Oh, that she was trying to help him, or that there was no malice intended by McFinn, or like all that.
Right. That's a different,
It's a different
moral
book no one likes.
threading, and well, maybe, but yeah, I'm just saying that's not the point of this scene, right? Monster ate a girl just like this, and it's happened to me. It's happening to you, and we're gonna get the son of a bitch.
Yeah, the implication is kind of just, I guess, that something killed the werewolf killed her, and he implies that it's like the same situation, like there was, and it's just it's not really, but it's also not really the point. Like he's trying,
Right.
like he's just trying to make her feel better, but it wasn't really a comparable situation, I would say, but it still is. Yeah. Anyway,
Well, no, the ghouls would be closer, but since we just had that flashback, that's probably a lot to re-emphasize that point if you're doing this as the author. And since he says a few times and goes back to the first time, it's like, hey, you guys remember how this happened? And half the people are gonna be like, no, actually I don't. But it shows that he's been doing this for a while and he's got a few of them under his belt.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see. Okay, so we're still in the motel room with Anna and everything like that. Elaine has her breakdown. She gets all blotchy and everything. When she turned around, I was waiting for her with a damp, cool washcloth. I said quietly, hold still, and gently wiped her face clean. You have to uphold the gumshoe image. Can't go out blotchy. People will think you're not hard-boiled. Very important to be hard-boiled. So,
like a chicken.
Yeah.
I was thinking eggs.
Harry,
an egg?
Yeah.
Chicken.
Egg in these trying
Harry's
times.
not particularly flirting here either, but very much the message has come across because she's all like doe-eyed and like quiet and everything as he cleans her up and whatever. So, but,
I was going to say
like
the
boys.
hardened PI turned into the femme fatale, turned into the victim. Like he's got to be having all sorts of fun feelings.
Right. Yeah. So and pro tip here, right? Like this is several key things that like if you there's consent and interest here, like you've broken the touch barrier, you're taking care of her, there's some emotion things, you can go in for the kiss, I think, at this point. So as long as you're not trying to like stop a murderer, you should focus on that first, obviously. But
No priorities, because if you're going to be distracted by other things, you might as well get them out of the way now and then go after the murderer.
It was just a kiss. How did it end up like this?
It was the Reiki, actually.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
She hovered over certain spots a little longer than others.
So they go to Abby's apartment. There you go. Chapter 26. So,
Ooh, we're gonna get.
So yeah, they get there, and of course, we're dangerously close to finishing a fifth one. So, they go to Abby's apartment, and she, of course, knows that they're coming and everything, and ushers them in. They get the story about how Helen was leading them on a wild goose chase and being the last one to see Anna alive. But this story, we find out is mostly driven by Priscilla's narrative. Let's see. Dresden and Elaine plan to take the girls to Olivia and confront Beckett. Abby fills a suitcase with foodstuffs and puts Toto in a little carrier. Mouse looks at Toto and then looked at me. You've got to be kidding, I told him. I'd have to clip a railroad car to the suitcase and hire the Hulk to move it around. You're young and healthy. You walk. So, but she's taking all the, she's taking all the food stuff because intuition that there are children involved and women and everybody's going to be like hungry and tired and scared and stuff.
Also, people just like food. It's comforting.
Right.
Also, I think Mouse just wanted a snack, quite honestly.
Toto?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many snacks in Toto are we talking about here? No.
Okay. I don't know.
Who talks like that?
Mystery
Toddlers.
Men, actually. So Lance or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So, they go to the motel where Olivia and the other rescuees are. They bring what's left of the Ordo and they meet up with Murphy. So, and then I think Murphy supplies the clue that it's like, oh yeah, hey, Jessica Blanche worked at the Velvet Room. So like, oh wait, didn't I burn that place? I mean, that place mysteriously tipped over and then caught on fire, so.
It burned down, fell over, and then sank into the swamp, but the fourth one stayed up.
Right. Yeah, the first Velvet Room was burned down by a rampaging wizard, so was the second one. But anyway, so Murphy and Dresden talk about Elaine, I think, so you trust her. I look down at Murphy for a minute and then up at the hotel room. I want to. I have a feeling things are going to get hairy. You need someone that's got your back. Got that, I said, holding up my fist. You. Murphy wrapped her knuckles gently against mine and snorted, you're going all syrupy on me, Dresden. If it rains, I'll melt, I agreed. It's to be expected. What with how you're gay and all now? I'm what? I blinked. Oh, Thomas's apartment. Hell's bells, you cops have a fast grapevine. So, let's see. Yeah, there's some more back and forth. You guys are never going to let go of this one, are you? I sighed. We're cops. Of course not. Oh, yeah, because they're talking about like what they're going to get him for his birthday or Christmas or whatever. And, so yeah, pretty cute. Comes from a place of love and everything. So, let's see. So, yeah, this is the part where we go to the new Velvet Room, except that it's executive function, whatever the place is called, and then this is where we finally get to see. Now, I know. Now is where we get to see like him talking to the intercom, but on the other side, we'll get to see the, I forget what her name is, but Bonnie. We'll get to see Bonnie with like Dresden's picture plastered and like warning flashing on her computer and shit like that, and just be like, except that
shut down computers if this person walks in the building.
Right. Yeah. Push button in case of Dresden. We should have that on the desk, like.
Oh, you immediately offer him a hot towel and a beverage.
Right. So
with some friendly boobs, it is disorienting.
Yeah. Right.
First of all, friendly or unfriendly, boobs are just disorienting. They don't.
Yeah.
They can come in hostily or friendly. It doesn't matter.
But these ones are friendly, and that's the powdered sugar on top of the donut is just extra.
Some would argue that a hostile boob is even more disorienting.
Yeah. The boobs are the powdered sugar?
No, the friendliness. The donuts are boobs.
I was like, that's the cake, right? Like, isn't that the whole point?
All right, you people and your metaphors.
It works.
No, cake is the backside. You got to get it right.
I mean, it's true.
I'm talking donuts.
You have a pile of donuts there, my dude. So I think there's enough to go around.
Right.
So.
I did this knowing I was Abby in this conversation. I knew what was going to happen.
Excellent. So, yeah. So we get to have that conversation. Bonnie tries to do a good job. She tries to, hold him off with the whole, like, sorry, management only works during business hours, even though they're both porking in the back room in the building and, all this other stuff. So
they're not yet.
Also, this is clearly where he got the name for his spirit daughter, not Bonea. It's just from this random. Yeah. This is from Happy Sprinkle Boobs.
Right. It's totally not gross and weird to name your daughter after some hottie that, escorted you around in executive. Like
she's not even
gym,
real,
so
so it's fine.
well, neither is Dresden, but it's still
Also
gross
true.
and weird. So
No, I mean Bonnie in the sense of the story is like she is the powdered sugar in this scenario because she's just a bunch of sparkles.
Yeah, in world, I'm willing to give Dresden his pun. Out of world, we know that Jim Butcher only knows 5 names for some reason, and so
Well, unless they start with an M, and he knows all of the names.
Yeah, well, he knows all the permutations of one name. I'm not going to give him credit for them being different names. So, Maggie, Margaret, that's the same thing.
Molly,
so,
right? You can get Mary from that. You can get Peggy from
Listen, you got Malcolm, you got Madrigal. There's others. It's
so therefore, there's 4 of the other names. So
there's
and then Harry.
There's Martha Langtree. There's
Yes, you're so smart. Now shut up. All right, so
Rashid.
So they get in, to everything because he's the last platinum member that hasn't picked up his membership package. He's like, I'm a what? So yeah. Who are you and how did you get in here? I'm a platinum member and I'm a platinum member. So
good reference.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite. It's like, yeah, so good.
No, Leslie Nielsen needs to be referenced more often.
True. Yeah, I also Squad. Do the right. Or Airplane, because one of my others is like picked a bad day to stop sniffing glue. It's just
Drinking Problem. I reference weekly.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so look, Bonnie, I said we aren't here for any trouble. We just need to talk to your boss. If she likes, she can come talk over the intercom. Otherwise, I will come up there and talk to her in person. There's only one relevant issue here. Would you rather be responsible or reasonable and polite, or would you rather replace a bunch of doors, walls, and goons? Yeah. Like, it's not your fault that the
doors practically disposable.
Oh, that Marcona has made them out of paper, so they cost like 10% of what a normal door costs, like it actually even better, like inside it should all just be the Japanese walls, right? With the sliding paper doors and whatever, because it's just like made of balsa wood and paper, so
I guess there's a question of like the disposability of the doors or the walls. That's fine. Versus the sound muffling that Marcone might still want to have at Velvet
everybody
Room
there knows what's going on. So everybody,
but they still might want privacy.
They might not. They might not want other people to hear. Yeah. Unless they're into that.
Well, they can go to 0 where there's a bunch of loud music and gags, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, but that's a competitor, and Marcone wants them there, not at 0.
All right.
We're gonna finish this chapter. God damn it.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. 3 women were waiting outside of it. I don't remember what it was, but they're all dressed in, workout clothes wasn't quite accurate. Their outfits looked something like the ones waitresses at Hooters wear, only tight. None of them could have been much over drinking age, and all of them had clearly passed some kind of intense qualification process certifying them to wear outfits like that. They were pretty, too. A blonde, a brunette, and a redhead, and they had nice smiles.
Donuts.
Welcome, sir. The redhead said, may I take your coat and stick? That's the closest I've come to being propositioned in years, I sighed, but no, I'll hang on to them for now. Very good, sir. So... Bonnie waited for me to get settled before taking my arm in a perfectly confident and familiar fashion and guiding me forward. She smelled nice, something like honeysuckle, and she had a friendly smile on her mouth. Her hands, though, felt cold and nervous. So, inner monologue, not sure, I guess that detail would make it in, but yeah, having her have that fake, like, I'm scared out of my mind smile, wouldn't be amiss. So...
She shouldn't be scared out of her mind. She should just be a little bit unnerved. She doesn't know depending on the education Marcone gives to his people.
Yeah.
Does she know to be actually
he did personally threaten to push in all of the walls and doors and goons that were in his way. So, they probably got something like, this man is powerful and dangerous, please give him anything that he wants. And then he threatened violence immediately. So she's like, oh, that's what they meant by powerful and dangerous. She's like, everybody here is powerful and dangerous. That guy's the CEO of My Pillow. Of course he's powerful and dangerous, you know. So
It should be like,
that's a bit of an overreaction. He's neither powerful nor dangerous. Well, I mean, he's dangerous, but he's not powerful.
I mean, does Dresden become a bit deflated with like, but you're being nice? Why? Where's the door to knock down? But they're being nice to him.
He's carrying a big rod of wood. He doesn't get deflated.
Right. And all of the girls open the doors for him. So that's where all the doors are. He's like, but I was going to smash that one. So
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So they take him to an office, leave him there and everything like that. Wow. I said, Miss Demeter, you look almost exactly like this criminal scumbag I met once. So, I guess so. Right. Marcone comes in first, and then, you know, he's asking what Dresden needs to know and whatever. And then Miss Demeter comes in later because she had to clean up. Whatever you say, you know, they were doing it. So that's the only reason to be after hours like this and everything. So it's just more explicit later.
They're working after hours. I mean, like
they're working out.
Listen, crime bosses, they never sleep. Okay, they're always on the clock.
Yeah. So the point being, Marcone starts answering the questions, like, but he is trying to play on the level with Dresden and whatever, and then realizes, wait, you want to know specifics? I'm going to need to get my manager, so I'll have Miss Demeter answer this. And wow, Miss Demeter, you look almost like this criminal scumbag I met once. Marcone rested his elbows on the desk, made a steeple out of his fingers, and regarded me with a cool and unruffled smile. And good evening to you too, Mr. Dresden. It's somehow reassuring to see that time has not ended your sophomoric sensibilities. Oh, right. No, he's calling Marcone Miss Demeter because he knows that's who he was supposed to meet. So yeah. His eyes flick to Murphy Sargent, you know, so accurate, and knows that he's pushing her buttons as a result, you know, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he also knows everything that's going on in the cop gossip circle, just like she does, which means that Marcone would also be able to make a gay joke about Dresden.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. Marcone probably dismissed it for two reasons. A, there's no fucking way. And B, even Marcone won't stoop to that level. So, like.
Well, I mean, we still have a few books before they get their scene together. So
true. The locker room scene. Yeah. So happy that got filmed. So for all of you thirsty people out there,
I'm not happy for that very same reason.
You want them to remain thirsty. So
no, I hate shippers. I absolutely hate them. They're the bane of so many fandoms.
What's wrong with semen anyway? Like, they're the backbone of our global economy.
Like, I can't, like, whenever I think of shippers, I can't help but think about that meta-ish episode from Supernatural where they find out about the fictitious slash fiction about themselves, and they're like, they do know we're brothers, right? And like deadpan, I don't think they care.
Yeah.
And it's just
for some that might add to it a little bit. So you know. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm a Star Trek fan, and that stuff's been around since before the internet. So I don't know if it started there, but that's one of the earlier prominent examples. So it's like you had to be listening to Kirk and Spock fiction for a long time anyway. I mean, you didn't have to. But
you didn't have to.
You know, you know it was around.
You chose to voluntarily.
You chose to
exactly. Yes. Yeah. Obviously, you guys aren't as high class as Marcone because he would not have picked that up. I'm just saying. So, all right, let's finish this chapter so we can, you know, get through. This will be 7.
You, man.
We've kept our cadence so far. But
come on, Director Justin.
He showed me his teeth. I see you got your membership package. I'm fighting not to gush at you with my gratitude, I told him, but it's oh so hard. You're welcome. His upturned mouth and glittering white teeth did not resemble a smile. Actually, all of my places of business have instructions to so treat you should you arrive. I raised my eyebrows. You can't seriously be trying to buy me. Hardly. I'm under no illusion about your fondness for myself and my business. I regard it as a preventative measure. In my judgment, my buildings are considerably less likely to burn to the ground during one of your visits if you are disoriented from being treated like a sultan. I do, after all, recall the fate of the last Velvet Room. Murphy snorted without taking her wary eyes from Marcone. He's got a point, Dresden. That was one time, I muttered. Something in the envelope dug at me through my duster pocket, and I reached down to take it out. So Hendricks freaks out and draws on Dresden, and Murphy starts reaching for her gun. And then Marcone shuts it down with just immediate stop it, just total authority, and everybody just freezes, right? So, but it's like, Hendricks, I appreciate your eagerness, but please, and he holsters his gun, and Murphy waits for a beat so that, everybody knows that nobody told her to do it, and then she relaxes, so they continue their conversation while we wait for Mrs. Beckett, and, she's the real Miss Demeter, not this poser with the green tiger eyes and everything. So yeah, there you go. That's chapter 28. We'll have to wait to do chapter 29 next time.
And only chapter 29.
Yes, apparently. Jeez.
We'll
find out about the soul gaze and everything.
It's a big deal. We got through half of what you already expected us not to get through.
We got through our usual 7. So yes.
7, even better.
We're good. Yep. We're 7 antis. We just hit it every time.
It's because we didn't have that anchor around us at the beginning. But now he's here, so he can do the outro.
Fine. This has been an episode of the Dresden Files podcast. If you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/brokenjars, where if you do support us, you get access to our Discord. You can also go to brokenjars.xyz to see our not very updated website. And other than that, like, subscribe, comment, and we'll be back 1 p.m. Eastern Saturday next week for Warriors, the movie that came out this year.
No.
Weapons, sorry.
Warriors is a different movie.
I was going to say, what? We're going to watch 13th
several.
Warrior, Warriors of Virtue? What movie are we going for?
13th Warrior is fun.
There is just a Warriors movie with,
I'm sure there is.
What's his name? Batman's enemy, Batman 3.
Tom Hardy?
Yeah, Tom Hardy.
Okay.
It's quite good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's called The Warriors instead of Warriors, but like...
No, that's the 80s movie.
Yeah. And?
Yeah. Wasn't talking about that one. Warriors come out to play. It's not that one.
Yeah.
Okay, we can end this now.
There are like 7 movies called Warriors, so...